So, you've watched the major scale lesson, you've watched the what is a mode lesson, and you've watched the number system lesson. Now you're asking yourself, how are modes related to chords? How am I supposed to use modes to make music while playing over a chord progression? Let's talk about it. At the very core of all of this is the idea of key. Anytime we have a key, we're playing using a single major scale and only that major scale. Now all major scales, they only contain 7 notes. So anytime we're playing in a key, we're using a set of 7 notes and only that. All the chords in that key are just rooted on the steps of that scale. So there's 7 notes in the scale, there's 7 chords in the key. You'll remember from the What is a Mode video that there are as many ways to play a scale as there are notes in that scale. So if there are 7 notes in the scale, then there are 7 modes, one that starts from each step of the scale. So, all this is linked together. The steps of the scale, the chords of the scale, and the modes of the scale. And all you gotta do is match them up and play them together. The first thing that I want to do is show you all of the modes of the key of G major in 2 octaves across the entire neck. Here's mode number 1. It's called Ionian. It's just the G major scale, nothing fancy about it. Let's go mode 2. It's called Dorian. In this case, in the key of G, it's going to be A Dorian. This scale is just like the minor scale with a major 6th interval instead of a minor 6th. Let's go mode 3. This is going to be Phrygian. In the key of G, this would be B Phrygian. And this is just like the minor scale with a minor 2nd. We're going to play the 4th mode now. In the key of G, this is C. It's called Lydian. Mode 4 is called Lydian. It's just like the major scale, except it uses a sharp 4. The 5th mode is called Mixolydian. In the key of G, that's D Mixolydian. Just like the major scale with a dominant 7. Then we're going to play E Aeolian. The 6th mode is called Aeolian, and this one is just the natural minor scale. In the key of G, it's going to be E Aeolian. And then our last scale, the 7th mode, is called Locrian. It's going to be F sharp Locrian in the key of G. This one's kind of weird. It's like the minor scale, except we use a minor 2nd and a flat 5th, or diminished 5th. Sounds really weird. And then that's it. We're back to G Ionian, or the 1st mode, again, an octave higher. So, let's say someone says, we're going to play the chord progression 1, 2, 3, 4 in the key of G. What that means is we're going to play a chord on the 1st step of the G scale, one on the 2nd step, the 3rd step, and the 4th step, and we're going to use that pattern that we memorized in the number system video. It's going to be major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4. That progression is going to sound like this. Now all we got to do is play the mode that corresponds with each chord when we're playing over the chord. So, a beginner might just play the G major scale over all the chords, because those are all safe notes. You won't play anything wrong. All those chords are in the key of G, so it makes sense that we could just play the G scale and it's going to sound good. True. The next step above that is to play something that sounds a little bit more specific, a little bit more relevant to the chords that you're playing over. It's going to make you sound less like a beginner and more like an intermediate or advanced guitar player if you can play the mode that is associated with the chord. So when we play over the 1 chord, we play the 1 mode, the mode that starts on the 1st step of the scale, which in this case is the major scale. So you could solo over the G chord using G Ionian, or the first mode. When we go to the 2 chord, however, we're going to play the second mode, or the scale inside the major scale that starts on the 2nd degree. This would be A Dorian. Dorian is the 2nd mode. When we go up to the 3rd chord, we're going to play the 3rd mode, or the mode that starts on the 3rd degree of the scale. When we go up to the 4th chord, you can guess what mode we're going to play. We're going to play the 4th mode, right? The one that starts on the 4th step of the scale. So, that's really all there is to it. You play the mode that is associated with, or that corresponds to, the chord that you're playing over. So, you sit down in your jam session with a bunch of buddies, someone calls out a chord progression, using the number system, they say, we're going to play a 1, 5, 6, 4 in the key of G. And you go, okay, that means we're going to play the chord starts on the 1st step, we're going to play a chord that starts on the 5th step, the 6th step, and the 4th step of the G major scale. So you go, here's G, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the 4 chord, 5, and 6. There's our 4 chords. 4 chord song, right? So it's going to be G, D, E minor, C. And if you were wondering what scales do I play over that to sound good, you just use those modes. The 1 mode, the 5 mode, the 6 mode, and the 4 mode. So over G, you're going to play G Ionian. Then you're going to go up to the 5th chord, and you're going to play the 5th mode. Then you're going to go up to the 6th chord and play the 6th mode. And you're going to go down to the 4 chord and play the 4th mode. All we're really doing here is playing the mode that corresponds with the note of the scale that the chord is rooted on. So to be able to do this, you need to have an understanding of the major scale, you need to have an understanding of the number system, and then you just need to know how to play the modes, and then there you go. That's really all there is to it. You can take your soloing to the next level because you don't have to be stuck playing one scale. You can play a scale for every single chord. It makes it sound way more interesting, even though it's all the same thing, right? All the modes of G are G scales, but they sound a little bit different, and it's because we're using a different step of the scale as our sort of tonal center, as home base. So when we're playing over our 2 chord, for example, in the key of G, A minor, it's going to sound better if we play an A scale over this chord than it is a G major scale. What A scale is in the key of G? Well, A Dorian is the one that we have available to use. It's just going to sound better. It's just going to sound more specific, more relevant. It's going to make you sound like a more aware, conscientious player, which is always a goal that you should have for yourself. How do I be more aware of what's going on underneath what I'm playing, the chord progression underneath me? So that's really all there is to it. Play the mode that corresponds to the chord that you're playing. You got to learn the number system, and then if you're playing the 4th chord, play the 4th mode. If you're playing the 6th chord, play the 6th mode, so on and so forth. It's really that simple. Okay. I hope this was informative for you. Hit me up if you have any questions. I always want to hear from you guys. And I'll catch you next time. Peace out.